Hey everyone, this is Tom from MonTac here doing the weekly MonTac Matchup for the 15th of April. And today, joining me, we have a semi-finalist, Sparrow here. Did incredibly well in the March 2022 tournament and has been absolutely setting ablaze with a absolutely fantastic win over Charging Badger, obviously two-time former champion him. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you here. We've got quite a few interesting matchups. You have experience with a bunch of these guys, so I think
Most
let's
of
just
them,
get
yeah.
right into it. Yeah, a few of them. We've got Charging Badger, obviously right off the bat, is taking on Doozy. Obviously, Badger is expected for Sky Soldiers, and Doozy would be some sort of Terosian amalgamation of terribleness, or it could be Eclipse Trooper Lacusiel. So that's another option. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I've played, I think, Doozy twice and then Charging Badger once. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Doozy just plays meme decks and doesn't really take it seriously. I think it's pretty clear for Badger to take it. Because Sky Soldiers don't really... They do a lot of stuff from the deck. So, like, Octai doesn't really affect them that much anyways.
All right, fair
So
enough.
unless he switches decks to something else, it's pretty clear for Badger to take it.
All right, nice. All right, well, next matchup we got is Shadow Galaxy Wolf, obviously Queen of Control, using that Terosian control deck. Is going to be taking on Dan B, famous for their Steel Edge play. It's a little bit of an interesting matchup because this is going to be similar to Dan's match with Mistfire, where Mist had to use those Terosians just completely shut down what Dan was mounting up to with those axe heads. It's a bit of an interesting match outside the top five, so this could be a draw, but obviously Shadow Galaxy Wolf can be a little bit passive, but she has a lot of shutdown cards. So, what are your thoughts on this potential matchup as well?
It's kind of weird because Danby is like really good with a Steel Edge, but also because of just what Terosians are, they kind of mess with
Mm-hmm.
Steel Edge a lot because you can shut down the Axe Head and all that stuff, and they have more negates than like they can bring back specialties. So if he can't save the Axe Head, it's pretty much over for him. So unless he has something to fix that or just like switches decks, then Terosians just sweep.
So, would you be picking Shadow Galaxy Wolf for this one?
Yep.
All right, fair enough. Now, obviously, we just talked about two Terosian decks. How do you feel about Terosians in the current meta? Do you think they're going to hold on? Obviously, they got a lot of specialty removal, but they do lack a fair amount of offense in terms of their big boss monsters don't have anything majorly aggressive. Do you think Do you think Terosian's going to be a long-term deck, or do you think it's more of a just kind of only here while everyone's trying new stuff out?
I think Trojans are going to be pretty good, especially in like the format that we're going into with a lot more like aggro with like elders and stuff. Since they can
Mm-hmm.
kind of slow down the pace of those decks with the specialty removal and stuff. They have a lot of like good counters, but it's also like a more of a matchup thing because not every deck, for example, like Angels just get completely destroyed by specialty removal, but something like Pugs, which are very cool, don't lose to that as hard. So it's matchup dependent, but it's still good overall.
All right, interesting. All right. All right, well, now we've got the next matchup. Quite an interesting match. Obviously, Not Not is going to be taking on Misfire. Misfire's had a bit of a rough loss last week. You were there to see that one versus Tamoose.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely a really tough match, that one. Not Not obviously has just, I believe they just came off a draw with Shadow Galaxy Wolf, so they're obviously using the Steel Edge here. Misfire, I would guess, is using Angels. So you've got some pretty massive aggros potentially coming out with Not using those axe heads, getting them up pretty high with multiple attacks against Misfire, who's sure to use more of a Beowulf strategy, just based on how more reliable it is than the Angel Apex. What are your thoughts?
Uh, so I've seen Nano play a few times, like you just mentioned, and in the last few days he's been testing out new decks that aren't Steel Edge. I think it was like Bandits and Crime Fighters OTK was like yesterday. uh, so I don't know about the Steel Edge Angel matchup, so I can't say much about that. But I think Bandits can probably do pretty well. Not sure about Crime Fighters or Fire and Smoke. That's the card. But I think Misfire takes this one just because he's been shown to be a really solid player with Angels.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see whether Not can overcome Misfire. It's highly likely. I would think if Not can get to 15, this will be a draw. I don't think either one can really finish the other.
Oh,
but
it's outside of top 5, yeah.
It is outside top 5, so...
Yeah, okay. I predict the draw, yeah.
Yeah, I think a draw could be definitely inbound, but Not does have the aggression to either win them or lose in the match, so... it really depends on how Not approaches this match. Alright, let's go on to the next matchup. We've got Tamoose, rank 4, taking on Tailsweep. This is inside the top 5, so there can no longer be any draws. Someone is going to win and someone is going to lose. Obviously, Tamoose would be expected to use Sky Bandits and Tailsweep with a pure mutated deck. Obviously did really well against Doozy last week. We've never really seen this matchup ever really happen. But we do know that Tamoose is doing very, very strong considering they just beat Misfire. And I don't know, it's a very interesting matchup. I don't know, I think you've had a look at both Mutated and you've had a little bit of a look at the Sky Soldiers recently. Yep. How do you think they really match up? Do you think anyone has any sort of advantage, or is it really just going to come down to the players?
I think the matchup is pretty even because they both have good removal. They're both more like long-term archetypes, if that makes sense. They're not like too early game or late game focused. I've seen Tamoose play a few times, like in practice matches and also that last game with Misfire. And he's really good, and he somehow makes the Sky Bandits work, which no one else has even tried. But Tailsweep I haven't seen as much, especially with the new mutated stuff. But based off what I've seen off Moose and the little bit that I've seen from Tailsweep, I think Moose takes it.
All right, interesting. Do you think in a match, let's say in a hypothetical match, in Tamoose versus Lucky, do you think Tamoose can get it done, or do you think Lucky's going to overrule it?
Lucky's kind of a weird player, which I guess makes sense because he's the champion right now. Because he switches decks based off the matchup a lot, and unless Tamoose does the same, then I think he's going to be pretty well prepared. He would pick something that I think Torotians would work pretty well here. I'm not sure, but basically something that can deal with Sky Bandits pretty well is what I see him probably trying to play. And I think Lucky would probably take that one unless Moose has something up his sleeve.
Very interesting. All right, well, speaking of up their sleeves, you are going to be taking on the opponent that you played for 3rd place in the tournament, Apocalyptic, this weekend. Please do not use rogues. That was horrible. This will also be another 6 a.m.
Rogue Mirror match.
This is going to be another 6 a.m. match for me, so please don't.
I'll DM him right now.
Yeah, fantastic. But yeah, no, this is very interesting. Obviously, you yourself have had a lot of obviously you've played a little with the Pugs, you played a little bit with Sunwalkers. You've kind of really spread yourself out in a couple different areas, kind of really getting used to how what's really seeing play in the meta and what could be useful for upcoming matches. Apocalyptic, highly likely to use Rogue Dragons. Obviously, that's probably one of their best decks, if not their best deck. What are your thoughts on that? Would you like to try to correct that mirror match with the Rogues and try to see if you could get it done? Because you were very close last time.
Last time, if I remember correctly, it basically came down to one roll where he got a lucky 6. And I think if we go to game 2, I probably have a pretty good chance of winning with the Rogues. But I also don't know if I want to do a Rogue Mirror match again, even though it would be hilarious.
No.
But there's a lot of decks that I've been wanting to try out competitively, so I won't say which ones because that'd be bad. But I've been trying some stuff and I want to actually get to play them.
What do you think's the next big archetype to really take over?
Pugs.
Pugs?
Pugs.
Why do you think Pugs?
I picked them up a few weeks ago, or like not a few weeks, like a week and a half. Last time when I played against Badger, and they're really fun. And pretty much every other player seems to not believe in them at all, which is pretty much why I decided to pick them up. And they're like really good. I swear. Please, just play Pugs.
So they're really good and they're really fun. All right, descriptive, fantastic. Yeah. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I think Pugs definitely have a really good chance.
Just play Pugs.
I think they have a really good chance. They've got a lot of really nice boss monsters, but they do get a lot of hate. I think people just don't like seeing something without an asset. But
yeah, it really messes with like how everyone's used to seeing the game, because the asset pile has been like one of the biggest parts of the meta and just how the end game is played. And so seeing that just get completely thrown out the window, I would understand. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. But surely that 4,000 pug doesn't hurt. But yeah. All right. Thank you for coming on and giving your thoughts. I think this is going to be a very interesting couple of matches. And of course, should you win, you will get your shot at Lucky. How confident are you about that as well? Because obviously you guys have had a couple practice matches so far. Is there something you're looking forward to? Something you're more cautious of? What are your thoughts?
I've played Lucky a good amount of times. It has to be like at least like 8 to 10 times already in practice matches. And I've done pretty well. I think if not the majority, then I've won at least half. So I'm pretty confident going into that. But problem is Apocalyptic is someone that I don't have as much experience with. So if I can get through that, and then go into Lucky, I think I have a pretty good chance of just sweeping through the whole thing.
All right, fair enough. Well, it's definitely very interesting to see. Obviously, if you can get this one of Apocalyptic, that is going to be pretty massive. Having multiple rookies in the top 3, definitely a first for the MonTac game. But anyway, like I said, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you having here and your busy schedule. And thank you everyone for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And subscribe the whole YouTube thing, and hope you have a great weekend. This has been Tom.